Welcome to the Sleepy Cosmos channel, a place where science and serenity meet. Here we explore the quiet wonders of the universe, from dark matter to string theory, all told in a calm, soothing rhythm designed to help you relax, drift, and dream among the stars. Each video is a guided journey through the cosmos, slow, meditative, and filled with real science wrapped in gentle storytelling. So if you love space, curiosity, and the peaceful side of knowledge, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe for more new sleep narrations every week. And if you'd like to reach out for collaborations or business inquiries, you can contact us at the sleepycosmoschannel@gmail.com. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's drift into the universe together. Let us begin. You are settling into a quiet moment, a slow drift between wakefulness and rest, where thought becomes softer and the edges of the world feel looser, gentler, more open. In this stillness, a question rises, not sharply, but like a calm ripple spreading across a silent lake. What is reality? And how do you know that what you're experiencing is the deepest layer of what exists? This question has lived in the human mind for centuries, appearing in philosophy, in physics, in dreams, and now, in your quiet evening, as you lie down, letting your body sink, letting your thoughts stretch into the unknown. You're not here to chase fear or to get lost in strange possibilities. You're here to relax, to dissolve into a peaceful curiosity, to let your mind wander through gentle scientific landscapes while your body drifts toward sleep. Tonight, you aren't being asked to doubt reality, only to observe it as though it were a soft, shimmering veil, woven from perception, from electrical signals, from the quiet language of physics. Every sight you've ever seen, every sound, every sensation has arrived in your mind as information, processed and interpreted by your brain, so that the world feels rich, solid, obvious. But beneath that familiarity, there is mystery. A mystery that physicists explore not through imagination alone, but through equations, measurements, and experiments that reveal a universe far stranger and far more beautiful than anything intuition alone could create. And so as you rest here, you open the door to a soft exploration, not a journey across distances, but inward, toward the foundations of what it means for something to exist. There is something deeply calming in this inquiry, because the question itself doesn't rush, it doesn't push, it simply invites. When you ask whether you are in a simulation, you're really asking something older, something quieter, something rooted in a desire to understand your own place in the cosmos. You're asking, what is the nature of the reality I experience? How does the universe produce the world I feel around me? And why does it feel so vivid, so immediate, so real? These questions open gently, like petals unfurling in slow motion. They guide the mind into a peaceful depth, a contemplative silence where science becomes more than facts and transforms into a kind of lullaby. Physicists don't treat the simulation question as a conspiracy or a fear or an escape. They approach it as a natural extension of studying information, energy, consciousness, and the quantum fabric woven through everything that exists. The deeper you go into these ideas, the more you realize that the heart of the simulation question is not about computers or programmers or artificial worlds. It is about understanding the structure of reality itself and understanding how a universe can behave in ways that look, in some ways, like computation. This journey is gentle. There is no urgency. There is no need to grasp every detail. You can simply float, letting each idea ripple softly through your awareness like a breeze moving across calm water. As you breathe slowly, your body loosens, your shoulders release, your thoughts grow quieter, and the boundaries of your day begin to fade. In this softened state, your mind becomes an open field where questions can wander without pressure, and understanding can emerge not from effort, but from relaxation. The curiosity you feel is one of the oldest forms of human wonder. Every civilization has looked at the world and sensed that what we see is only part of the story. Every thinker has recognized that our senses give us a version of reality, not the whole of it. And so tonight, you rest inside a tradition of quiet exploration, joining countless others who have gazed into the nature of existence, not for answers alone, but for the peace that comes from embracing mystery. Let yourself drift. You are beginning a soft descent into the deeper layers of thought, toward the foundations of perception, toward the physics beneath experience, toward the quiet question of what it means for anything to be real. The mind you carry, the brain interpreting the world, is not a passive observer. It constructs, simplifies, creates coherence from complexity, rendering a stable narrative out of chaotic streams of information. Your perception is both a window and a filter. And there is a comfort in knowing this because it means the mystery of reality isn't a threat, but a gentle companion, something that has always traveled with you, hidden in every breath, in every moment of awareness. As you lie here, you are entering a state where thoughts stretch, where boundaries blur, where the world becomes softer at the edges, and this is the perfect soil for quiet questions to grow. The simulation question is not about doubting your life or distrusting your senses. It is about recognizing that the universe might be built from layers, from codes and patterns, from mathematical principles that translate into the textures of experience. It's about understanding that reality may be more subtle, more intricate, and more astonishing than it appears at first glance. And as you breathe, the question becomes less about the answer and more about the calm that comes from inquiry itself. Your thoughts become slower, more spacious, like they're drifting through a chamber of echoes where each idea floats and settles gently. The room around you fades into a soft abstraction, a background of faint shapes and cool colors, and your awareness begins to hover, like dust suspended in a beam of light. This is the perfect place, the perfect moment, to explore the foundations of reality from a place of peace. Because the simulation question is not merely philosophical. It intersects with physics, with quantum theory, with neuroscience, with information science, and with the limits of what we can know. When you ask whether reality could be simulated, you are also asking, how does the universe encode information? How does the brain interpret signals? How does perception create the world we experience? And how do the laws of physics generate the structure we call real? These questions are scientific at their core. They are grounded in experiments, in observations, in careful, deliberate study. And yet they carry a poetic feeling because they reveal that existence is not rigid, not mechanical, not purely solid. It is vast and delicate and filled with layers that unfold like whispers. As you sink deeper into rest, these ideas do not need to be solved. They only need to be felt, like gentle waves rolling against the shore of your awareness. Let your breathing slow, let your eyelids grow heavier, let your thoughts drift like particles in a quiet quantum field, vibrating softly with possibility. In this calm, you recognize that the question of reality is not a doorway into fear, but into wonder, into a tranquil awareness that the world is filled with mysteries that unfold at their own pace. You are not being asked to decide what is true. You are simply being invited to observe, to rest, to float through the quiet of your own mind, while science becomes a gentle lantern guiding you through the dim hallways of thought. Reality settles around you like a quiet, invisible fabric, soft against the senses, familiar, constant. Yet beneath its calm surface, there is something intricate, something layered, something woven from signals and interpretations that your mind assembles moment by moment. You are experiencing the world right now, but the world you experience begins not in the outside environment, but inside your brain. Every color you see, every shape, every sound floating through the air is translated into electrical patterns. Photons strike cells in your eyes, air vibrations move receptors in your ears, pressure touches your skin, and all of it becomes pulses of energy traveling through delicate neural pathways. In a gentle way, your brain is always creating a model of the world, a simulation built from incomplete information, stitched together into something coherent enough to feel like a solid, continuous reality. This is not fantasy. This is neuroscience, careful measurements, observations, experiments with perception, revealing that the brain doesn't receive a complete picture. It receives fragments, impressions, snapshots of data, and it fills in the rest with predictions based on memory and expectation. Your experience is not a raw feed of the world. It is a constructed map, smooth, stable, refined, a biological simulation running inside your skull. As you lie here, your body sinking into softness, you can imagine these processes unfolding quietly beneath the surface of consciousness. Neurons firing in patterns, complex networks interacting, forming a seamless sense of, this is real, This is now. This is the world. Your brain compresses information the way a computer compresses a video file, removing details that aren't needed, predicting what comes next, filling in what is missing, so that your perception feels continuous even though the raw data arriving at your senses is fragmentary, uneven, and incomplete. Predictive processing is one of the most peaceful ideas in modern neuroscience, not because it is simple, but because it explains why reality feels so stable, so smooth, even though the underlying signals are chaotic. Your brain is always guessing, testing, adjusting, smoothing over the edges, like a painter who never lifts the brush, blending each moment into the next until the entire scene appears whole. And beneath all of this biological activity, beneath the cells, the molecules, the atoms, there is another layer, a deeper architecture. Quantum fields. Not tiny particles as little hard spheres, not miniature objects bouncing around like marbles, but continuous fields spread throughout space, vibrating, fluctuating, interacting, everything you touch, everything you see, everything that forms your body and the world around you is made of these fields. A particle, in the scientific sense, is not a thing. It is an excitation of a field, a ripple, like a single note played on a vast, cosmic instrument. When you think of matter, you might imagine objects composed of building blocks. But the truer picture, the more precise, more elegant, more scientific one, is that reality is woven from vibrations, patterns, interactions, fluctuations in invisible fields that fill every corner of the universe. What feels solid beneath your hand is a dance of quantum activity, a balance of forces, a tapestry of probabilities held together by rules that operate far below perception. The world is not made of things. It is made of relationships. You do not touch a table. You interact with the electromagnetic field of the atoms making up the table, while your own atoms push back with their own fields, preventing you from passing through. Everything that appears separate and rigid is actually a blend of overlapping waves in constant motion. This is the quiet strangeness of the universe, scientific, measurable, and still deeply calming when you let it wash through your awareness. What you see is a representation, a simplified rendering, produced by your brain to help you navigate the complex sea of quantum activity beneath everyday experience. The brain is not lying to you. It is translating, compressing, refining, so that your experience remains stable, even though the underlying world is made of flickering probabilities and continuous fields. In this sense, you have always lived inside a constructed reality, not an illusion, not something fabricated from outside, but a biological interface designed to make the universe graspable. Light enters the eyes, but color is created by the brain. Sound waves enter the ears, but tone, pitch, emotion all arise from neural interpretation. The world outside you and the world inside you work together to build the experience of being alive. Your perception is a collaboration between physics and biology. The solidness you feel, the warmth, the presence of your surroundings emerge from quantum fields guided and interpreted by the neural architecture inside your skull. Reality feels the way it feels, not because the universe must appear this way, but because your brain evolved to turn an overwhelming ocean of information into something simple enough to move through, to survive in, to understand. The world you walk through is not the raw universe, but a filtered version of it, a rendering, a user interface similar to how a computer displays simple icons instead of the millions of electrons and calculations moving beneath the surface. This is not metaphor. It is neuroscience and physics meeting in a quiet, gentle harmony. Many scientists describe information as the most fundamental ingredient of reality. Not matter, not energy, but information itself, the patterns, the rules, the structure that determines how everything behaves. In this view, the fields that shape the universe are expressions of information. The particles that arise from them are manifestations of information. Even the forces that hold everything together are patterns of information unfolding through time. Your brain, then, is an information processing system built to operate inside an information-theoretic universe. You are not separate from reality. You are part of the same informational fabric, a self-aware ripple in a sea of quantum structures interpreting other ripples, interacting with fields, transforming raw data into the world you experience. And so the question of what it means to be real becomes softer, more nuanced, more peaceful. To be real is to participate in the ongoing transformation of information into perception, perception into experience, experience into meaning. Your world is not static. It is a flowing interface shaped by fields, interpreted by the brain, held together by rules that trace back to the foundations of physics. Reality is not a single layer. It is a multi-layered phenomenon built from quantum vibrations, neural models, interpretive processes, and the steady, continuous merging of observation and structure. The more you understand this, the more comforting it becomes. Because the strangeness doesn't undermine reality, it deepens it. It reveals that what you touch, what you see, what you know, is part of a delicate harmony between the universe and the observer. Reality feels solid because your brain presents it that way. But beneath that solidity lies a world of shimmering probabilities, fields weaving through each other, patterns creating patterns, all governed by laws that do not eliminate mystery but elevate it. As you breathe slowly, as your awareness softens, you can feel yourself becoming part of that harmony, a small, quiet complexity floating in a larger one, a ripple of consciousness observing ripples of existence. Everything you experience is rooted in physics, in biology, in information, and yet the result is something intimate, personal, deeply human. Beneath the world of everyday experience, beneath matter, beneath atoms and their familiar structure, there exists a deeper realm, so subtle, so quiet, that it almost feels like a hidden rhythm pulsing beneath existence itself. This realm is the domain of quantum fields, the foundation of everything you can see, everything you can touch, everything that exists. At this level, reality is not smooth and continuous. It is granular, structured, built from the smallest possible units of space and time, the tiniest intervals allowed by the laws of physics. You can imagine it as a kind of cosmic grid, not made of lines or shapes, but of limits. The smallest distance anything can meaningfully have, the smallest tick of time that can ever pass, the smallest vibration energy can occupy. Physicists call these limits the Planck length and the Planck time. The Planck length is so small that it is difficult to describe without drifting into poetry. Even the size of an atom is enormous compared to this scale. If an atom were stretched to the size of a galaxy, the Planck length would still be smaller than the smallest speck of dust floating within that galaxy. This discreteness suggests something profound, that the universe behaves almost like a digital system at its deepest layers. Not digital in the way a computer is digital, but digital in the sense that there is a smallest possible unit, a smallest possible fragment from which all larger structures are assembled. These tiny units are not things. They are limitations, constraints, the fundamental resolution of the cosmic fabric. As you rest here, you can imagine the universe as a vast sea of fields vibrating and oscillating in quantized steps, each ripple following rules so delicate and yet so rigid that they define everything that exists. This is the quiet quantum code beneath all experience. When physicists talk about quantum mechanics, they are not referring to a chaotic realm, but to a realm of structured possibilities, a domain where multiple outcomes can coexist in a gentle superposition. Superposition is one of the most soothing concepts, despite its reputation for strangeness. It simply means that before something is measured, before something interacts with the environment, its state is not a single thing, but a cloud of possibilities, a soft distribution of what it could be. Imagine a note played on a piano, but instead of committing immediately to one exact pitch, it exists first as a shimmering blend of nearby tones, a wave of potential, spreading softly through the air. That is superposition, not confusion, not contradiction, but a natural way for quantum systems to exist before they settle into a single definite state when they interact with something around them. This settling is called decoherence, and decoherence is not magical. It is simply what happens when a quantum system touches the world. Its possibilities collapse into a single outcome. Its wave of maybes becomes the quiet certainty we experience in everyday life. The world feels definite because your senses evolved to interact with the outcomes of decoherence, not the cloud of possibilities that existed before it. But the universe itself still carries those possibilities, still allows particles to drift in multiple states, still lets wave functions extend through space like soft sheets of probability stretching over the quantum landscape. A wave function is not a physical wave like a water ripple. It is a mathematical description of where a particle could be, a map of likelihoods, a distribution of possibilities moving gently through time. As you inhale and exhale, you can picture these wave functions drifting silently through the architecture of the universe, just as your own thoughts drift through the chambers of your mind. And then there is entanglement, a phenomenon so delicate and yet so powerful that Einstein once called it spooky action at a distance. Entanglement is not mystical. It arises naturally when two quantum systems interact and their information becomes intertwined in a way that cannot be separated. Once entangled, the state of each system cannot be described independently. They are linked not by a physical cord or a hidden channel, but by shared information. This means that when one system is measured, the other's possibilities shift instantly to remain consistent with that measurement. Not because a signal traveled, but because the two systems no longer have separate descriptions. Imagine two ripples created in the same pond. Even as they drift apart, their patterns remain connected, because they originated from the same disturbance. Quantum entanglement is more subtle than ripples, more abstract, yet the metaphor captures something essential. Information binds. These threads of entanglement run through every part of the universe, linking particles, linking fields, linking distant regions of space in a quiet, invisible network. The deeper you look into quantum theory, the more the universe resembles a system built from information. Not random information, not chaotic or noisy, but structured, ordered, guided by principles that are measurable and deeply mathematical. This mathematical structure makes the universe feel almost computational, as though the laws of physics are algorithms processing information through time. Quantum systems evolve according to precise equations, functions that shift waveforms from one moment to the next with perfect consistency. These equations are indifferent to what the world should look like. They simply describe how possibilities move through the deep architecture of reality. When people imagine a simulation, they often imagine something artificial, something manufactured. But what physicists see is not artificial. It is natural, inevitable, the automatic unfolding of quantum fields behaving according to simple yet profound rules. At the smallest scales, there are no objects, there are no colors, there are no separate things. There are only fields, and the information describing how those fields change, interact, vibrate, and collapse into definiteness. As you lie here, your awareness gently drifting, you can imagine reality as a soft lattice of quantum activity, a humming network of interactions so subtle that they escape perception but so precise that they give rise to every grain of experience. This is the microscopic architecture hidden beneath the world, the architecture that makes every moment possible. Everything familiar to you, your voice, your memories, your entire sense of self, emerges from this quantum foundation. Not directly, but through layers of complexity, each layer built upon the one below, each transformation guided by the rules of information encoded in the quantum domain. And this domain is not chaotic. It is ordered, structured, elegant. The quantum world often seems strange because the human brain evolved to perceive a different scale of reality, a slower world, a macroscopic world where probabilities feel like certainties and waves feel like solid objects. But beneath that solidness there is a quiet landscape of superpositions, entanglement, discreteness, and information. A landscape where existence is not a single path but a tapestry of possibilities woven together and then gently narrowed by the touch of interaction. When you rest your head, when you let your thoughts settle, you can imagine yourself floating in this field of possibility, a conscious pattern built from atoms, from quantum excitations, from vibrational energy that has been shaped into awareness. Your consciousness is not separate from the quantum world. It is an extension of it, a higher-level phenomenon built on top of the same fundamental rules. This quiet connection between mind and physics does not imply anything mystical. It simply reflects the continuity of existence, the way layers of reality stack and interconnect through principles that trace back to the quantum fields beneath everything. Beneath the familiar structure of the universe, beneath the atoms, the molecules, the warm solidity of your everyday world, there is a deeper layer of strangeness, a layer woven from possibility itself. You have drifted through the ideas of superposition, of wave functions drifting through time, of entanglement connecting distant systems as if information itself were stitched together across space. But there is another question that arises naturally when we gaze this deeply into the quantum world. A question about how the universe chooses its outcomes. Because if a quantum system exists in multiple possible states before being observed, then what determines which of those possibilities becomes the one you experience? This is one of the quietest, gentlest, yet most profound mysteries in physics. And physicists have developed different interpretations to explain this transition from possibility to actuality. The first interpretation is known as the collapse interpretation. In this view, the wave of possibilities collapses into a single outcome when a measurement occurs. The wave function no longer describes many potential states, but one definite reality. Collapse is intuitive, simple, comfortably aligned with the way the world feels. You measure something, and it becomes what you see. You observe a particle's position, and suddenly its location is definite. But collapse raises questions of its own. What exactly counts as a measurement? What triggers the collapse? Is consciousness involved? Or is collapse produced exclusively by physical interaction with the environment? These questions float quietly through physics, and although collapse is widely used in calculations, it is not the only interpretation. Another interpretation is far more expansive, far more sweeping, yet also strangely calming when approached with an open mind. This is the many worlds interpretation. Many worlds suggests that the wave function never collapses at all. It evolves smoothly according to the laws of quantum mechanics, splitting into branches whenever a measurement or interaction produces different possible outcomes. In this view, every possibility allowed by the wave function exists somewhere, in some branch of reality, not because anything magical occurs, but because the equations follow their natural course. You can imagine it as a soft bifurcation, a gentle forking in the structure of the universe. One branch where an electron is found on the left, another branch where it is found on the right, one branch where a photon reflects, another where it passes through, each branch a quiet unfolding of quantum potential. Many worlds is not meant to overwhelm the mind. It is not meant to create anxiety or confusion. It simply says that the equations of quantum mechanics do not require collapse. They describe a universe that evolves continuously, elegantly, without needing to erase possibilities. In this interpretation, your experience follows one branch, a single thread through a vast tapestry of branching outcomes. Not because you are special, or because you split in some dramatic sense, but because consciousness follows a continuous path through the quantum structure of the world. Other interpretations exist as well, each offering a gentle, thoughtful attempt to understand the same experimental facts. Some interpretations frame collapse as an emergent phenomenon, something arising from the overwhelming complexity of large systems interacting. Other interpretations treat quantum mechanics as a kind of information theory, suggesting that what changes is not reality itself, but our description of it. Each interpretation carries its own beauty. Each invites you to drift deeper into the quantum foundation of existence. And none of them change the fact that you experience a stable, coherent, perceivable world. The quantum realm may be filled with branching waves and collapsing states, but the macroscopic reality formed from those waves remains steady beneath your feet. And now we return to the idea of the universe as an information processing structure. Because when you consider superposition, entanglement, discreteness, wave functions drifting like soft sheets, you begin to see that the quantum world behaves in ways that are deeply structured. Patterns arise, laws hold firm, probabilities evolve with perfect mathematical symmetry. This is why many physicists describe the universe as fundamentally computational, not in the sense of a machine, not in the sense of something engineered, but in the sense that information evolves according to rules. The universe updates itself from moment to moment in a way that feels like a computation. Wave functions follow equations that resemble algorithms. Interactions occur according to constraints that resemble logic. Space and time appear quantized in ways that resemble the pixels and time steps of a simulation. Even superposition can be seen as a kind of parallel processing, possibilities evolving together before being narrowed by interaction. An entanglement binds information across distance with a precision no classical system could imitate. None of this means the universe is a simulation, but the resemblance between quantum behavior and information processing is undeniable, and it is this resemblance that inspires the idea that the universe might operate like a vast computational structure. This idea is deeply scientific and deeply calming when you allow it to settle softly into your awareness, because it suggests a universe built from order, from consistency, from principles that hold true everywhere. A universe where information flows like a stream, where probabilities unfold gently, where patterns emerge from the quiet dance of quantum fields. And so you float now in this understanding of reality, a reality built from the smallest units of space and time, a reality guided by the drift of probabilities. A reality connected by entanglement threads that stretch across space with perfect coherence. The universe stretches outward in all directions, a quiet expanse of structure, motion, symmetry, and unfolding patterns. And as you sink deeper into rest, your awareness becomes soft enough to sense something subtle beneath this vastness, a feeling that the universe behaves with a kind of logic, a kind of consistency, as though reality itself flows according to rules written into the fabric of existence. When scientists study these rules, they often notice something striking. The laws of physics behave with the calm precision of algorithms, not in the sense that someone programmed them, but in the sense that they update the state of the universe moment by moment, following steps, constraints, processes that resemble computation. Wherever you look, you see these steps unfold. Planets orbiting stars, electrons settling into shells, particles interacting through forces that can be written as clean equations, as if nature itself solves them continuously with gentle, endless patience. The idea that physical laws behave like algorithms is not poetic exaggeration. It is scientific recognition of how consistent, how structured, how rule-based the cosmos truly is. Imagine a cellular automaton, a simple mathematical grid in which each cell follows a tiny rule based on the state of its neighbors. From these tiny rules emerge rich patterns, sprawling systems, sometimes even structures that resemble life. Even the simplest automaton can produce complexity far beyond what its rules predict. And so physicists sometimes wonder, gently, quietly, whether the universe might operate through a similar principle, local rules shaping global complexity, simplicity giving rise to the intricate beauty of stars, galaxies, and consciousness. This does not reduce existence to something mechanical. It elevates it. It reveals that mathematics is not separate from nature, but woven into it. Some theories propose that the entire universe may be a hologram, not an illusion, but a structure where the information describing a region is stored on its boundary, like the surface of a sphere holding the data for everything inside it. This holographic principle arises from studies of black holes, where physicists discovered that the information inside a black hole is proportional not to its volume, but to the area of its surface. This was a quiet revelation, a still moment in theoretical physics where the universe whispered a deeper truth, that perhaps information is the true currency of reality, not matter, not energy, but information itself. The Bekenstein bound shows that any region of space has a maximum amount of information it can contain, a limit to how much detail can be stored. Even reality has storage constraints. This is not speculation. It is a measured, calculated, scientifically supported principle arising from thermodynamics and quantum theory. And it leads to an intriguing idea that spacetime might act like an information surface, a boundary encoding the details of what lies within, a structure that updates continuously as information flows across it. As you breathe slowly, you might imagine spacetime as a soft fabric, stretching gently, its curvature shifting in response to information and energy, like a sheet rippled by tiny vibrations. And when you look closely at how physics behaves, at how forces operate, how particles move, how space bends, you begin to see that the universe updates itself in discrete steps, local interactions, tiny transitions that resemble the incremental operations of a computation. This does not require a computer in the human sense, no circuits, no processors, no design. It simply means the universe behaves computably. Events follow causes, causes follow laws. Laws follow principles that can be expressed as mathematical operations. In this view, every particle interaction is a kind of calculation. Every quantum transition is a kind of update. Every wave function evolution is a kind of computation, unfolding smoothly across time. This computational character of the universe is part of what inspires simulation theories, not because reality seems artificial, but because its underlying behavior resembles a system processing information. The universe does not appear random. It appears ordered, structured, rule-driven, elegant. Some scientists describe physics as a cosmic language, a syntax through which matter and energy express themselves. Others describe it as an algorithmic flow, a sequence of updates propagating from the quantum realm into the macroscopic world you can see and touch. When you think of the universe this way, not as a machine but as a flowing computation, the world becomes more, not less beautiful. Patterns unfold with seamless consistency. Complexity emerges from simple rules the way fractals emerge from straightforward equations. You can almost feel the quiet logic rippling beneath existence, soft and orderly, like a gentle current moving through space and time. Causality is one of the clearest expressions of this underlying structure. Events happen not randomly but according to constraints, inputs leading to outputs, conditions producing consequences, each moment shaped by what came before. This causal flow is the universe's way of preserving continuity, coherence, and meaning. Even at the extremes of reality, the smallest scales and the highest energies, discretization appears. Space does not divide endlessly. Time does not shrink forever. Energy comes in quanta, finite amounts that cannot be subdivided. These limits are deeply computational in flavor, a system with minimum units and maximum capacities, a system with constraints and update rules. And yet none of this suggests anything artificial. It simply reflects the nature of a universe built from information, a universe where the flow of existence is guided by principles that are measurable, repeatable, and astonishingly precise. Some physicists even describe the laws of nature as the code of reality. Not metaphorically, but in recognition that these laws behave the way code behaves, structure producing behavior, constraints producing form, patterns producing the world. As you drift deeper into rest, this idea becomes softer, calmer, more dreamlike. The notion that the universe follows computable rules does not reduce reality. It enriches it. It means that everything you experience is part of a coherent system, a grand, unfolding structure that behaves with quiet logic, gentle consistency, and deep elegance. You are not outside this system. You are embedded within it, a self-aware pattern formed from the same rules, drifting through the same structure, feeling the gentle flow of causality and complexity that shapes everything. When you inhale and exhale, you participate in this computational rhythm. When your neurons fire, they follow the same principles that govern electrons in atoms, photons in fields, particles in spacetime. The rules of physics operate through you, in you. As you and when you rest, your awareness becomes light enough to sense this unity, this gentle order, this quiet architecture hidden beneath perception. Awareness drifts like a soft tide, moving inward, settling gently into the space where physics meets consciousness, where the outer universe and the inner world touch quietly. You are lying here, breathing slowly, your thoughts loosening, and this calm state makes it possible to approach one of the most delicate mysteries in all of science, the relationship between the observer and the observed. In the quantum world, the act of observing is not merely a passive moment. It plays a role, not because consciousness magically alters physics, but because information becomes definite only through interaction. A particle drifting in superposition carries a cloud of possibilities, a gentle spread of where it might be, how it might move, what values it might take. But when the particle interacts with its surroundings, with another particle, a detector, a field, a measurement device, its possibilities narrow. One outcome becomes the one woven into the fabric of the observable world. This narrowing is not mystical. It is the natural consequence of decoherence, the process through which information becomes entangled with the environment. When a system interacts with something outside itself, its delicate quantum possibilities spread outward, merging with the world, until only one branch remains accessible to the scale of human perception. This is why observation matters. Not because your awareness has special power, but because interaction changes information, and information is the currency of the quantum world. You drift deeper, letting this idea settle. Observation is simply the moment when information becomes part of the environment, part of the larger system, part of the world that can be experienced. Consciousness is not required for this transition to occur. A rock can collapse a particle's wave function by absorbing it. A molecule can decohere another molecule by scattering it. A photon can carry information away simply by drifting outward into space. Measurement happens whenever information spreads, whenever possibilities become entangled with their surroundings, whenever the world records a change. And yet consciousness still has a place in this quiet dance, not as a mystical force, but as the interpretive lens through which reality is assembled into experience. Your brain is a highly organized information processing system. It takes signals from the world and turns them into your personal universe, your inner landscape of sight and sound, of meaning and memory. This inner landscape is not the raw universe. It is a rendering, an interface, a map constructed by the mind. When you dream, this becomes even clearer. Closed off from the external world, your brain continues producing a vivid reality, complete with motion, color, sound, emotion, and coherent narrative. There is no light touching your eyes, no sound moving the air, yet the dream feels real enough that you believe it until you awaken. Reality, for the mind, is a construction, a rendering built from information regardless of whether that information originates in the outside world or within the brain itself. This does not mean the external world is unreal. It means your experience of it is mediated, filtered, simplified, interpreted. Just as dreams are shaped from internal signals, waking life is shaped from external ones. In both cases, consciousness builds the world you perceive. And so the question arises, quietly, softly, if the universe is built from information, if wave functions encode possibilities, if observation narrows them, if perception constructs experience, then what exactly does it mean to observe? It means to receive information, to transform possibility into experience, to take something that existed as a spread of quantum potential and integrate it into the coherent model your mind builds moment by moment. You are not separate from the universe. You are part of its unfolding, a structure of neurons, chemistry, electricity, and awareness, all operating within the same physical laws that guide particles and galaxies alike. You are a way for the universe to observe itself. Your senses gather information, your brain processes it, your awareness experiences it, and through this chain of physical events, the raw informational fabric of reality becomes the world you perceive. This is the gentle truth at the heart of the observer's role. Consciousness shapes the personal universe you carry within you, not by altering physics, but by selecting and organizing signals into a coherent experience. You see a filtered world, a world constructed from the limited bandwidth of sensory perception, from the interpretive processes of the brain, from the narrative tendencies of the mind. You experience a rendered world, one model of an underlying reality far richer and more complex than perception alone could ever reveal. This rendering is not a flaw, it is a gift, a way for consciousness to navigate the immeasurable depth of the quantum universe without being overwhelmed. The simulation idea becomes gentle when viewed through this lens, not a suggestion that you are unreal or trapped or controlled, but a reminder that what you experience is always a model, always a filtered representation, always a constructed reality shaped by the limits and strengths of the human mind. Your personal universe is a rendering. Everyone's is. Even simple organisms carry their own limited sensory maps of the world. What you see is meaningful because your brain makes sense of it, constructs it, interprets it. When physicists speak of the observer's role, they are not pointing toward mysticism. They are pointing toward the structure of information, how it flows, how it becomes definite, how it shapes experience. As your breathing slows, as your awareness softens, you can feel yourself floating gently between the outer universe and the inner one, between observation and perception, between the raw informational field and the world constructed from it. There is a quiet moment when the mind becomes still enough, soft enough, open enough to consider ideas that stretch far beyond ordinary experience. And in this gentle space, a question arises. If the universe feels structured, if its laws behave like algorithms, if information lies at the foundation of everything, then could reality itself be a kind of simulation? Not in the dramatic way often portrayed in fiction, but in a calm, scientific sense. A possibility considered seriously by philosophers and physicists alike. The scientific simulation hypothesis does not begin with fear or suspicion or any sense of unreality. It begins with logic, with an argument that unfolds quietly, step by step, in the mind of a philosopher named Nick Bostrom. He proposed a trilemma, 3 possibilities, one of which must be true, and in the stillness of this moment, you can let them unfold with slow clarity. The first possibility is that civilizations like ours never reach a stage where they can simulate conscious beings. Maybe they destroy themselves, or lose interest, or simply never develop the capacity to simulate entire universes with detail as rich as their own. The second possibility is that advanced civilizations have the capacity to run simulations, but choose not to. Perhaps they have ethical concerns, or practical limitations, or philosophical reasons to avoid creating simulated consciousness. And then there is the third possibility. If civilizations can create simulations, and if they choose to, and if they create many of them, then statistically, there would be far more simulated observers than original ones. And if that were true, the chances of us being among the original observers would be extremely small. This argument does not declare anything certain. It only lays out a quiet, logical structure, a structure that invites reflection, not alarm. Now, why do physicists consider this question worthy of attention? Because the universe shows characteristics that resemble an information-based system, not because it looks fake, but because it behaves with mathematical elegance. It follows rules with perfect consistency. It displays quantization as though reality comes in finite units. And the deeper physicists look, the more the structure of nature resembles computation. Some evidence is subtle, scientific, measurable. One piece is quantization. Energy comes in discrete packets, never in arbitrary amounts. Space and time appear to have limits, minimum units, as if the universe runs on a finite resolution. These observations do not prove simulation, but they echo the behavior of computational systems. Another piece is cosmic fine-tuning. The universe is set up with physical constants that allow stars to form, planets to emerge, chemistry to operate, life to arise. If those constants were even slightly different, the universe would collapse, or expand too quickly, or remain cold and structureless. To some, this delicate balance feels like a set of parameters, as though the universe were tuned to allow complexity. But this could also be coincidence, or selection bias, or a natural consequence of deeper laws we do not yet understand. Another piece is mathematical predictability. The universe follows equations with astonishing precision. When physicists model a system, a star, a particle, a field, the equations behave as though they were part of a coherent computational process running beneath physical reality. Again, this does not prove simulation. It only suggests that the universe is profoundly ordered. And then there is quantum randomness. Not random in the chaotic sense, but in the computational sense, outcomes selected from probability distributions with no known underlying mechanism. Some take this as a sign of information being generated on the fly. Others see it as intrinsic randomness built into the universe. Either way, the behavior is consistent with the idea of a system that updates itself moment by moment. On the other side of the argument are reasons to doubt the simulation hypothesis. One is the absence of observable glitches. Despite our deepest observations, despite particle accelerators, cosmic measurements, astronomical surveys, no violation of physical law has ever been detected. Everything behaves with perfect consistency. If we are in a simulation, it is flawless, and perfection is not easy to achieve, even for hypothetical advanced beings. Another skepticism comes from assumptions. The entire hypothesis relies on what unknown civilizations might do, might want, might value. We do not know if life elsewhere would evolve technological motives similar to ours. We do not know if consciousness can be simulated at all. We do not know if computational universes are feasible. Occam's razor suggests that the simplest explanation is usually best, and the simplest explanation may be that the universe is real, not simulated, not artificial, but simply governed by laws so elegant that they resemble computation. And so we return to the gentle truth. We cannot confirm that reality is a simulation. We cannot deny it. The evidence remains balanced, subtle, open. But this uncertainty is not frightening. It is peaceful. Because the simulation question does not diminish reality. It does not weaken the meaning of experience, the richness of consciousness, the beauty of existence. Whether the universe is simulated or fundamental, your life feels real because it is real to you. Your sensations, your memories, your awareness, your place in the cosmos, all remain meaningful regardless of the ultimate nature of the underlying reality. As you breathe more slowly, more deeply, you might notice that the mystery itself is soothing. You do not need to solve it. You do not need to reach a conclusion. You can simply float inside the open space of infinite possibility, a space where science meets wonder and curiosity becomes a kind of rest. There is a gentle moment, a soft pause in thought, when the question shifts from what reality is to what reality means. You are resting now, your mind drifting like a quiet tide, your awareness suspended between curiosity and calm. And in this peaceful space, you can explore one of the most comforting questions in all of philosophy and physics. If reality were a simulation, what would that mean for you? The idea can sound intimidating when framed dramatically, but when approached slowly, scientifically, reflectively, it becomes something different. Not frightening, not destabilizing, but clarifying, like lifting a veil to reveal a deeper structure beneath familiar experience. Because whether the universe is simulated or completely fundamental, your life unfolds the same way. Your breath slows the same way. Your memories form the same way. Your awareness glows with the same quiet intensity. Simulation or not, your experience is real to you. Consciousness makes it real. The world you move through is built from sensations, signals, interpretations, interactions between neurons in the vast informational field you inhabit, and those experiences are as meaningful as meaning itself. If the universe were simulated, it would not diminish beauty. It would not reduce emotion. It would not make relationships any less profound. Flowers would still bloom, stars would still shine. Dreams would still form within the chambers of the mind. The richness of life does not depend on the substrate under it. It arises from the pattern of experience itself. Physics remains physics either way. Atoms behave the same. Quantum fields ripple the same. Electromagnetic waves carry light across the cosmos with the same quiet precision. Your body, your thoughts, your every moment rest upon the same elegant mathematical structure, whether that structure is fundamental or emergent. Some thinkers even argue that meaning grows deeper if reality is structured. Because then, your existence is not an accident. It is part of a coherent system, a universe whose laws are consistent, stable, capable of generating complexity, life, consciousness. A universe where awareness can arise and contemplate its own foundations. But even if the universe is not simulated, if it is fundamental, eternal, self-contained, your experience remains the same. Meaning is not given by the universe. It is created by consciousness, by perception, by memory, by the quiet flow of awareness through time. When you reflect on this, a warmth spreads gently through your thoughts. Meaning is not something you discover. It is something you generate by engaging with existence. You create meaning by living, by noticing, by feeling. You are part of the universe's unfolding, a pattern of awareness woven into the larger pattern of physical law. Even if reality were simulated, your emotions would not be simulated. Your experiences would not be simulated. They would be genuine events occurring in the mind of an observer, an authentic stream of lived moments. A simulation does not mean falsehood. It means structure, and structure is the architecture from which consciousness creates meaning. Think of a dream. While dreaming, the world feels real. Gravity works, vision unfolds, sound surrounds you. When you awaken, you do not say that the emotions you felt were meaningless. The fear, the joy, the love were genuine because consciousness experienced them. Experience itself is real, regardless of the substrate beneath it. Whether your mind arises from quantum fields in a physical universe or from information structures in a simulated one, your awareness remains vivid, personal, meaningful. You are the locus where information becomes experience. You are the point where reality is felt. There is another perspective that brings comfort. If the universe behaves like a simulation, it means the cosmos is intelligible. understandable, coherent, structured. It means the laws that govern reality are stable enough that life can evolve, that observers can arise, that consciousness can explore. A chaotic universe could not do this. A universe without structure could not sustain awareness. Order is required for experience to exist, and whether that order is fundamental or engineered, it supports you in the same way. Even the feeling of purpose does not depend on whether reality is simulated. Purpose is not built into the world. It emerges from how you move within it, from how you treat others, from what you choose to pursue, from the quiet ways you shape your own path through the architecture of existence. Meaning is not delivered from outside. It radiates outward from consciousness itself. As you breathe slowly, you can sense that this question, what does it mean, has a surprisingly calming answer. Because the truth is simple. Whether reality is fundamental or simulated, your lived experience remains the same. Your perceptions remain vivid. Your emotions remain authentic. Your awareness remains the center of your universe. The softness of this understanding settles into the mind like a warm, gentle weight, a peaceful reassurance that existence is real enough because you experience it, that life is meaningful enough because you feel it, that consciousness brings reality into focus. You exist in a universe capable of generating you. That alone is extraordinary. That alone is enough. There is a moment, a soft, slow, drifting moment, when the mind becomes quiet enough to hold mystery without needing to solve it. A moment when the gentle hum of existence feels closer, more intimate, as though the universe itself were settling beside you, breathing with you, very softly. You have traveled through the foundations of physics, through the subtleties of perception, through the quantum veil beneath the world, and the computational rhythm flowing through the cosmos. Now, as everything settles, as your thoughts stretch thin like threads dissolving into a warm dusk, you come to rest in the simplest truth of all. You exist in a universe that is stable, beautiful, comprehensible, and filled with quiet wonder. You do not need to grasp its full structure. You do not need to resolve its deepest paradoxes. The universe does not demand certainty from you. Instead, it offers a vast, gentle landscape of unanswered questions, a horizon of possibility that softens the edges of thought and invites the mind to relax. Reality is stable because the laws of nature flow with extraordinary consistency. The ripples of quantum fields, the curvature of spacetime, the formation of galaxies, all unfold with astonishing reliability. Whether the universe is a simulation or a fundamental reality, the stability remains, the predictability remains, the beauty remains. Stars shine because hydrogen fuses with the same calm precision everywhere in the cosmos. Water flows following the same graceful rules on every world with oceans to carve. Consciousness arises through the same dance of biology and information. Neurons, signals, patterns coalescing into the quiet glow of awareness. There is comfort in the reliability of nature, in the idea that the universe itself is built from rules so gentle and elegant that they shape everything from atoms to thoughts to the unfolding arc of your life. An even deeper comfort comes from accepting that you do not need all the answers. You are allowed to rest in mystery, to float inside questions that stretch beyond understanding, questions older than humanity, questions whispered by stars and cosmic fields and the long silence between galaxies. Mystery is not a problem to be solved. It is a lullaby, a soft, cosmic hum that rocks the mind toward rest. It reminds you that existence is larger than comprehension, and that this largeness is gentle, not threatening. You are safe inside a universe that holds you with quiet consistency, a universe that does not need you to unravel its innermost structure to appreciate its beauty. You breathe slowly, and the mystery breathes with you. Each inhale brings in the calm of the present moment. Each exhale releases the weight of questions too heavy for waking hours. In this softness, you begin to feel a deep truth emerging. You are part of the universe, not separate, not observing from outside, but intertwined with every field, every law, every gentle rhythm that governs reality. Your awareness is a pattern arising within the same fabric that holds stars and galaxies and quantum possibilities. You are made of the universe, and the universe is made within you. This unity brings a feeling like warm light spreading through the chest, an understanding that you belong to something vast and ancient and beautifully ordered. And in this belonging, a sense of peace grows. Not because everything is known, but because not knowing is allowed. Not knowing is part of the human experience, part of what makes curiosity so gentle and wonder so restorative. The universe does not require certainty. It only requires presence, your awareness, your quiet participation in the unfolding story of existence. The mysteries remain. What is reality made of? Why do the laws of physics fit together so elegantly? How does consciousness arise from matter or information or whatever deeper structure lies beneath? These questions will continue to drift through the minds of humans for generations, as softly and patiently as clouds crossing the sky. But for now, you are free to let them settle, like dust illuminated in a beam of golden light. You are free to let the unknown be beautiful. You are free to rest. Your breath slows, your thoughts loosen. The boundaries of your awareness begin to dissolve into a calm, expansive quiet. You do not need to hold the world together. The universe carries that responsibility with effortless grace. All you need is to let yourself drift, gently, slowly, into the deep, peaceful space between moments. As your mind grows quieter, you become more aware of the subtle rhythm beneath everything, a rhythm as ancient as the cosmos, as gentle as a lullaby. A rhythm that invites you to feel gratitude, not for answers, but for the privilege of existing, for the warmth of consciousness, for the softness of wonder. And so the night wraps itself around you, thin as silk, warm as breath, silent as starlight. You sink deeper into calm. You float lighter into rest. The universe holds you in quiet mystery, and the mystery holds you in perfect peace.